Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another of our Lunch and Learns. This one is a follow-on from the one we did, I think, 2 weeks ago now, where Steve took us through some of the benefits and the real-world applications of AI, particularly in terms of agentic applications in your line of business applications. And of course, the first question we often get is, where do we start? How do we get ready for it? And this session should hopefully give you some really good insight into where to start with your data. So without further ado, I'll pass over to Steve to take us through some of the options we can give you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Chris. So hi all, my name is Steve Zafar. I am CTO here at HSO. I have been with the business 20 years now. I come from a business application background. I have been involved with all sorts of different industries, and from the low-code applications, including Power Platform, from integration, infrastructure, and everything. So, that has given us a lot of experience of the industries and some of the challenges that I will try and cover in the next half an hour or so. Of course, with the point of view of is how to get your data ready if you are looking to embark on this journey of intelligent applications or AI. I think over the many years, the requirements when it comes to data has changed. One thing I always say is that data is probably the least one of those assets that are not used to their to their potential. I think if I look back in the last 20 years of my experience, is that the concept of the modern reporting, which is relatively new, I think in the last 5 years or so, which has been focused on, we need to analyze the data, from all the sources, just the ability to see what happened, that's sort of a scenario where we then move more into this now, as more recently into the real-time analytics, where you are able to get insights and intelligence from the signals from your data and from application more in real time to be able to say what is happening right now. And then kind of depending on the maturity of your organization and your business, the next level up from there is the organization who are looking to then apply advanced analytics and AI for more of the kind of predictive and predictions to say, look, okay, what is likely to happen from this? Where we are in terms of the signals from where we and so on. And probably the last and the most complex and difficult kind of a level of that maturity is the point where you are able to use agents because you have the quality of the data to an extent where agents can be trained on data and the behavior, so they can take actions on your behalf. And if you remember, for those of you who were in the previous session, that triangle that I referred to, where is moving the human from by default to by exception for every decision making. This is a very famous Gartner graph, and some of you might have seen this before. In context of what businesses want to do versus what's the reality, I think most of the businesses that we see today are in this kind of a very low difficulty and low value sort of quadrant, where focusing on what happened and why it happened. I think that's where I see most of the organization in a way looking at in the back view mirror to say, what happened this month, this week, yesterday, and why it happened. But I think, excuse me, where most of the organization like to be is this kind of the last two stages of this, where being able to predict what's happening in terms of the trends and the analysis of the data, and also looking at the trends from your historic data to predict that, look, if this continues, this is likely to be, our sales forecast or our revenue or where we're likely to end up. But where AI comes in and makes things more, powerful and more kind of interesting is that the top end of it, which is that how I can make this happen. Now, this is a combination of everything below, enough data for being able to predict what is happening, and then looking at the previous trends in your data to say, right, if when last time this happened, this happened, this happened, and then being able to say, right, okay, if we want to then change the outcome, what is the action we need to take? So for those of you who were in the previous session, you might have remembered when I talked about those intelligent solutions, being able to provide the information to the decision maker in the context of their role, personalized to the task that they perform in an organization, with the guidance to be able to drive a certain outcome. That's what that refers to. And as I said, most of the organization are generally in that kind of the left side of this graph, which is interesting, because even some of those organizations, if I talk, when you really dig deep into the data and look at the quality of the data, that the level of confidence in the data is relatively low. I mean, this is quite an interesting stat. Sort of confirming what I just said on the previous slide, is that up to 72% of organizations lack end-to-end visibility into the granular signals across all their services or all their operations and processes. This is a big number. This means that a lot of organizations who are data-rich, poor organizations, collected have millions of records of of transactional information, but are unable to link those different data sources in line with their processes to try and understand an end-to-end journey, and in a granular level to see why it's happening, what is happening. Now, when it comes to AI, this becomes even more important, because what we have seen, and this is one of the graph that is created by our colleague here who works specifically in AI and advanced analytics side of things. If you look at the behavior of any AI solution or agents, generally there are multiple passes where you need to go through the same set of data to be able to get an outcome. And so, for example, if you are looking to predict the sales, it will probably go and look at the X amount of year of historic data. Then it needs to go back to the same data set and then look at, what is happening now, then go back again to do some sort of a scenario, analysis or prediction, and before it's able to give you an outcome. But what interesting is that we've seen is that the 1% issue in the quality of the data, that with every iteration of agents or models to go back to the same data set and retrieve, could become as big as 27% wrong information by the time it gone from first iteration to 20th iteration, and which is not uncommon, by the way, when it comes to complex AI solutions. So you could see that when we talk about the hallucination, or when we talk about agents not bringing the right information or providing wrong information and all those things, this is how critical the quality of data is in the processes, and why this is the case and what is causing these issues. Generally speaking, it's all those things that you see on the screen. It's the volume that you're not able to deal with in your current data platform or your data warehouse or whatever you are using. It's also the different silos of data. The data is so fragmented, it's all over the place. For example, if you're in a retail business, you have data, e-com related, your backend ERP, your warehouse, your other channels that you sell from, not necessarily all in one place, in all sorts of different areas, which is on their own might be complete. But when you're trying to put it all together, and link it to make sense out of it, end-to-end journey, referring to the previous graph where I talked about 72% organization unable to be able to get that level of insight, it becomes impossible. And then the next level up, which is the quality, that how good is the quality of your data. If I have, as to see if I bought from you from Amazon, then I bought from you from eBay, and then I bought from you from your stores as well. And then during that time, I have changed my addresses 3 times, right? And if you happen to have a 5 version of me because of a combination of different addresses and different channels, well, you can only imagine if that type of information was given to a large language model and an AI solution to say, okay, what is the address of this customer? You are likely to, good luck with the results, because it's likely to be any combination of all those things that have been provided. And how we make sure that simple things like master data management and all those concepts are put in place. But not only that, and I think when it comes to data, it's not a one-off thing. It's not that you got, you sorted out your data once and you forgot about it. The regular cadence of it, the governance, the constant monitoring of the data, and then identifying the issues, as they appear, and then dealing with them, whether it's automatically or or manually, to ensure that the quality of data maintained. Then the accessibility, I think this is another quite an interesting angle, that a lot of organizations who have invested in good big data platform, but data still remains pretty much inaccessible to the decision maker in the way and the format they like to consume. And I think this is where AI play a big role. And I presented some of the demos last time around as well. Not many people have the ability to go into a semantic model through a Power BI and then being able to pull the data that they're interested in to create a slice and diceable kind of a report or a dashboard to be able to get that information, and how we can make it more accessible. Some of the advanced concepts like data agents, surface through the common interfaces like Microsoft Teams, come to rescue here and are able to provide you the ability where your user can just simply chat to their data and get the insight and intelligence they need, and continue to kind of reason over it to get to the information that they need. And this is why it's becoming extremely important to look at the those data platforms that are out there that are able to not only support your simple AI use cases, but are able to kind of help you to cover all these issues that are sort of listed in this list. Okay, well, that's really a problem statement. And what is an answer? And when it comes to answer, I think it answer needs to be that as an organization, you need to define your complete data strategy, and that needs to cover absolutely everything that is listed here and plus more. But these are the things that generally kind of cover the basics anyway. Most important, I guess, and kind of for the ground zero sort of a scenario here, is that being able to get the basic insights from your data. If you remember that graph that I shown earlier, that the bottom end of that left corner, that's an absolute minimum. Being able to report what happened in the last week, last quarter, last month, and maybe even why it happened, and being able to link things to come up with a narrative on it. The one thing that we see quite often disconnected is that you have a data platform that is designed to provide you insights and intelligence and analytics, and then the other data needs, i.e. feeding, let's say, from a master system to the downstream system, that externally outside. Now, in many ways, you are opening yourself to the risk of actually duplicating the information, and therefore leaving the possibilities of ending up with multiple version of the truth. And how you can then make sure that the data platform that you're creating, or the strategy that you're about to create, is capable of actually avoiding those issues, and in a centralized and unified data platform. Then I guess the most important thing, and that's a topic that I will go in a little bit more detail in the next few slides as well. No organization, the business, the application landscape never stays, still. It's a continuously evolving environment where you are changing a platform, or you're moving from one application to another application, from best of breed to kind of more the other applications, to try and get the better user experience, accessibility, and all those things. And one of the things that we have seen, that the organizations who have data which is probably not the good quality data, that over the many years, 3, 4, 5 iterations of, let's say, an ERP system or whatever, that bad data have continued its journey from one application to another application to another application, because the fear of not missing out, losing the data, not ability to archive, or not even an ability to actually validate and check the quality of that data before it get migrated. So as a result, what end up is that if you've been in operating in these different multiple platforms over the last 10, 15, 20 years, you will end up with maybe 10, 15, 20 years worth of bad data, in your latest application. So the strategy also needs to ensure that how we're going to mitigate that risk and what guardrails and the things that we're going to put in place that not only provide you the ability to disconnect one of your business application in the future and bring a new version in, but also ensuring that the new version doesn't end up with all the poor quality data that you have today. I guess the other thing, which is again becoming extremely important, especially with the with all this Gen AI and all the advancements, is that the automation, whether it's a simple automation or intelligent automation, and automation could be in a number of ways. Automation could be alerting you when a certain event happens, very simple basic scenario like this, or all the way to more complex things, where it can help you to say, to reduce your cost or your operating cost by, alerting you. So for example, by monitoring, let's say, an exchange rate or a tariff, being able to actively advise you on a business outcome to say, if this is likely, if this trends continue, you could end up in this situation, and this is how you can mitigate that risk. And that type of signals require not only the data that you as an organization collect internally, but also potentially looking some external data sources as well. But I guess another thing which we are seeing, again, this is the kind of a whole topic of today as well, that with all of those things in place, you really need a data platform that enables the innovation, that allow you to take advantage of all this investment that is going into AI. Just to put this in perspective, Microsoft is spending $30 billion a year in AI and in R&D across the platform, and most of that is being spent on enabling applications to take advantage of this revolution of AI. And you want to make sure that whatever strategy that you're putting together for your data, what are the tools that you are looking to invest in, they are designed for all those things that I covered, but also they are able to future-proof your business and provide the ability to use agents, AI, and all those advanced capabilities going forward. Now, there is another quite an interesting concept, which is that archival has been something in the past where you will park the data that you might need in the future, but the reality is nobody actually go and look at it, unless there is an issue. But the other side of that is that the data that you have been collected over the last 10, 15, 20 years, it actually contains a wealth of knowledge, that can be used to work, to train agents to understand the trend in your data. And most of the operational applications are, of course, for obvious reasons, kept lightweight to ensure that you don't bring all that legacy data across. So to make sure that you get the right performance and things like that. So in a way that unless that archival capability is aligned with your analytics and other strategies, you are likely to end up in a situation where you are not able to take advantage of all of that data that has been archived in a place, never to be looked at in most of the cases. Then the security aspect of it as well. And now security is becoming very, very complex. Gone the days where you will secure a table or an entity, and then at the best you will go down to the record level security, and that would have been enough. It's becoming a lot more complex as more data states are now including structured and unstructured data. So if you have a lot of contracts that are on your SharePoint side, which are containing the wealth of the knowledge, that how you can make sure that your strategy allow you to take advantage of that data, but at the same time giving you the ability to to secure even, let's say, a part of that document, or a line of a document, or whatever, which is something that you want to control to be accessible to the certain users. However, the rest of the document should be still accessible and consumable from everybody. So that's where the advanced concepts where like tooling like Purview, for example, will come in and allow you to do that, and doing all of that in a way which is future-proof. Now, when it comes to, and this is another angle to look at what I just talked about, a good data platform needs to have all of that, what you see on the screen, as the capability to make it happen, ability to catalog data, to classify data through the sensitivity label, this, that, and other that we talked about. You should be able to see who owns this data set. You should be able to see the lineage of that data, where it started and how it gathered and where it got to. and being able to monitor the quality of the data and alert, raise alerts and or even automatic processes to resolve those data, all the way through to the kind of because of the AI, is that how you make sure that is the responsible use of AI, and that data can also be enforced through the data platform. As I said earlier, is that let's look at one of the very specific angle, which is from the business application or the migration aspect. For those of you who have, I know a number of our clients are on the call as well, and that have gone through some sort of a business application upgrade process or an implementation process, would recognize this. This is a very typical journey where it's application led, that you need to now install a new business application or upgrade system. You will connect to the bunch of legacy systems. You will do the migration, you do the transformation and all of that, and then actually put into the target system. But all of that is a one-off exercise, and there's a lot of investment has gone on, but all designed for one-off event, which is the go live weekend or go live night, and then nobody actually looks at it. But the reality is that everything that you're doing in this process isn't far away for what you would do on the other side of that business application, which is to take data out from that application again, turn that into a business ready data, and in a semantic layer or whatever, and then you are able to report on it or put agent on it. Which is, but what happens in that approach is that if it's led by the application mindset, is that bulk of the time that has been spent actually on actually the implementation of the solution, which is basically the new shiny wrapper of the old data, good or bad. That's depending on your what you have been collected and how it's been governed. But when it comes to then taking advantage of that new application and new data, very little time and money is left. So the business value, in a way, is very limited from that sort of an approach. So you end up wasting time. You might have to duplicate the effort on the other side of it to be able to get prepare that data again for reporting, analytics, and agents, and so on. And that type of strategy generally have very weak or no data archival strategy. So what is the answer? What is the solution for this? So one of the approach, again, going back to the strategy aspect that we talked about, is to how you can create a strategy that is led by the data, not by an event like a business application upgrade or we've been asked to put some agents in, things like that. And just sticking to the theme that we've been referring to here, is that one of the examples that this is our approach that we take in our clients, is that how you can start where you would have, for example, pull all your data from all your sources in one place, and you prepare that data for your business model as you are going to use in the future, or you want to be able to use in the future, archiving the data that you don't need, or however still being able to report. You then start using that data much earlier in the process to feed the integration, downstream systems. You start reporting on that data much earlier in the process, allowing you to be able to find anomalies and issues with the data so you can fix. And then the kind of final step is that when your target application is ready, you use that data that has been tried and tested and cleaned and cleansed to then move into the future state, in the future system. But then bringing that back into the platform and completing the complete loop, and then disconnecting the legacy system. Now, this is a very simple architecture, but what it does allow you to do, to be able to fix all those issues that we refer to, that you generally find out that get, hopped over from one system to another in the classic model of migration. Now, this is a little something for a couple of slides from the last session for those of you who haven't attended. When it comes to the kind of a very common pattern that we see, how the data is gathered and then being consumed, this is something that I'm pretty sure most of you would recognize. That you got a bunch of application on the left side that you're bringing into a data platform, into a data layer, which is then being gone through some sort of a process, and then you have a bunch of dashboards and reports to then being able to report on it. But interesting thing is that now this would have been fine for a few years ago, but where we are now is that now you have new consumers of the data, likes of agents and advanced analytics. And what those agents are doing is that they are taking those signals across all of your data state and then making those signals available back into the core application and the business process where decisions are being made. in the using tools like Power Platform, for example, or existing capabilities of your system. But the key part of that is that data has been made available. Those signals are being tailored for that specific task and operation that is being performed in the context of what is happening, designed to provide insight and intelligence to the people who are able to make then appropriate decisions and to drive a certain outcome. And this is all possible if you have all those things that we referred to earlier in place. You are collecting the right signals, it's the right quality of data, it's the data that is ready for a business, for business use, but also have that high level of quality in it that you don't end up looping through it 10 times and then the 5% variation then become 50%, data being wrong, which has been provided to the user for decision making through those agents and so on. So coming towards the end of it, in a summary, when it comes to a data platform, more specifically looking at it from the AI angle, there are sort of 5 main use cases when it comes to a data platform, and this sort of you can say they are they go into they grow as your maturity grow, from simple analytics, being able to feed other systems from the integration point of view, and then able to migrate data from allow you the application level innovation, being able to then automate some of the processes, and the last probably and the most important one is then being able to take advantage of the of AI, because you have gone through the process of cleaning, consolidating, master data management, guardrails around the quality of the data, included unstructured data as well as structured data. Have put in the security and the etc. in place. You have made it self-discoverable and all of that using the data catalog and other concepts that are quite common these days in a good data platform. But all is done in with the view of that the cost is being maintained and that it's been managed properly. Security, of course, at the heart of all of this, and the reusability element. If you have created a semantic model that allow you to be able to, let's say, get insight from your procurement, related data, why can't that same model be designed? Then it can be fed into data agent, then into an agent that is surfaced in your procurement system to provide the right signals to the people who are making procurement decisions. Now, this is a very high-level blueprint of a good enterprise data platform, and as you can see, it pretty much covers everything that we talked about. Ability to connect from your existing data sources, your legacy data sources, and in all type of formats, from your structured data set, i.e. your databases, SQL databases, Oracle, or the others, unstructured data sets like your Word, PDF files, you're collecting, and also kind of a semi-structured data as well, which could be the APIs data comes from the sensors and so on, to then allow it to be going through the ingestion process in the raw format that it gets stored, and all the classic medallion architecture that you would recognize, where it goes from the kind of to all the way to the golden state, which is basically ready for a specific function, which could be a business ready data for reporting point of view, or actually the data that you can then be fed into AI, into that consumer layer. For those of you who've been doing this for a long time, you would probably notice some of the new things have started to pop up into this sort of a model. You now have the agents, for example. You now have even the apps that are built onto that data set that allow you to then do the scenario planning, which then might be might be infused with an automation workflow, which then actually taking an action back into your application. So for example, if you have collected a lot of data as a retailer and you're doing the analysis of a certain product not performing really well, and you then look and say, look, well, last time when we were in this position for this product category, what difference a 5% discount made, as an example, and I say, right, 5% discount, increase the sales from this to that. Okay, say, right, okay, go ahead and reduce the cost of this item by 5% or 10%. And that actions then needs to happen in the source application the good old-fashioned way would have been that analysis would have done outside, data would have been extracted into an Excel, then you go and play with it, and then eventually going back into the business application and took a decision into that business application. However, the new approach will allow you to have that agent that might be trained on all of these things available within the Biz app, where you can just talk to that data and then take an action there, or ask it to take on your behalf through the things like Power Automate and so on. So kind of when it comes to Microsoft answer to this in the Microsoft platform, the Fabric is that unified data platform, covers everything that I touched on so far. So that's more like an implementation angle. So advice in a way is to start with a strategy, then start pulling all things together and using tools like Microsoft Fabric, which enables you to do all of those things. It is able to take all your structured data from your finance, ERP, CRM, also your like your documents and so on. And more recently and more importantly, what has become is that what has become available now is the things like Work IQ. This is an intelligence that is built from your as for me as a user, my email, my Outlook, the document that I have access to, and the role that I play in our organization and the business that I work for. That information in a way becomes extremely important for the agents to say how to see if, in his role deal with this issue. And that is based on all that intelligence that's been gathered across all the Office stack, as well as the unstructured documents and we as a business. And then the similar level of IQ now also exists within Microsoft Fabric as well, which allow you to create this create this intelligence to say, this is our procurement data, this is our stock information, this is our sales information, and this is our as a process, and how this all comes together. Now, given that platform, that intelligence, that not only it understands your data as a table and the rows and the columns, but actually understands the semantics and what does that mean for you as a business, and what are the objectives and the KPIs that you are trying to drive. So then being able to ask that information and gather the insight from the Fabric would be at a completely different level. And then the last part, which is probably another very important one, is that how all those signals can then be consumed through the advanced tools these days, like Copilot, the custom AI agents that from the Azure AI Foundry, and kind of advanced analytics, whether it's like a predictive maintenance and all those kind of the advanced concepts. And that's really it. Chris.
Thanks very much, Nassif. I hope that was useful for everybody. I think that outlines well how we approach getting your data in a good shape for AI. It's about understanding what you have, structuring it, and making it available for the systems that need to process it. I think if you move on to your next slide there, we've got a QR code that people can grab. So we'll leave on it for a couple of seconds there, and we can help you with an AI readiness consultation. And our next Lunch and Learn, well, I think we'd like some suggestions basically on the next Lunch and Learn in the new year. So we'll leave you with the thought of emailing us if there's anything you'd like to have covered, whether it's on this, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on a recording. Please do email us requesting the next topics. If you just pop to the next slide there to see, you'll see Debbie's email address for the suggestions. I'll just thank everyone for coming in so we can close the recording, and then we'll hit any questions